Hi guys, welcome back to The Social Tune. And today we're going to take a look at the latest album by British rapper Nines, 1 Foot Out.
Oh, you mad cause your crew's balmy. When I come through, I'm looking like some new money.
I ain't the trapper of the year. I sold to the trappers of the year. That makes me the trapper of the year. I ain't the trapper of the year. I sold to the trappers of the year. That makes me the trapper of the year. I ain't the trapper of the year.
Okay, so as much as we critics like to think we're completely objective, we all have our pet peeves. And I don't feel it's fair to let those pet peeves keep us from giving certain artists and certain genres a chance. And so, in the spirit of that, I'm going to make an effort this year to check out more British artists with pronounced accents. They shouldn't have to give up that part of themselves, it's up to me to adjust to them as the critic. So after checking out Sampha's latest release and enjoying it, I decided to tackle Nines next. A UK rapper who has been building buzz in the industry over the past 4 years over there. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect here. This wasn't just some street rapper, he's a guy with a following. And yet despite that, I found very few reviews for this album, which does surprise me. So with some trepidation, I decided to check it out for myself. And, well, it's not bad, but it really does feel like a transitional album. This is his stepping stone from young nobody to rich big game rapper. And unfortunately, it's also 15 tracks long, which I'd argue you shouldn't do at the best of times, and certainly not when so much of your material is so samey. Now, I will admit right out the gate that one thing that does kind of help with this is the production.
It's looking like I might blow, but the streets need me. Lick certain man down and I could sleep easy. Remember back in Penn was like living in hell. Skyping niggas in jail. How you do that? I held a mirror out of cell.
Okay, I'll admit that a number of these instrumentals aren't your typical trap beats. There's some pianos and atmospherics thrown in there at times. Take Trapper of the Year, which definitely had some trap hi-hats, but it also had those gleaming keys and a solid bass line. However, this instrumental pattern shows up again later on High Roller, which brings us to our next problem with this album. While it may not sound like every other rap record out there at the moment, a lot of it runs together. Bottom line, when some of the best instrumentals on your album are in the intro and the outro, that's not exactly a good thing. But yeah, I did like the keys on the former, which led very nicely into the opening track Going In, which blended backing vocals, a plucking beat, and a solid piano line to make a really nice opener to this album. Honestly, the first few tracks are pretty decent, as are the last few. The problem comes in that big space in the middle, where not only were all the tracks running together, I wasn't enjoying them. Really starting from Getting Money Now up until I Wonder. And outside of the former and Nervous, I wouldn't call any of these tracks bad, just painfully interchangeable. Actually, I will say I really enjoyed these keys, which had some real swell and a somber chorus that I really liked. But other than that, the hooks on Getting Money Now and Nervous are painful to listen to, unlike the one on Hose, which is just laughable and completely squanders a pretty decent beat. And while I honestly didn't mind the chipmunk vocals that opened up Stacey Adams, the beat on that track was so repetitive and bland that it made the track feel a lot longer than it actually was. And another thing that I really didn't like about a lot of these tracks were the watermarks at the beginning. I understand the producers want to get their names out there, especially in hip-hop, but it makes the tracks sound incredibly commercial, and on the off chance that you were enjoying the songs, it really does take you out of the experience. And now let's talk about the artists on this album.
Oh mama, I ain't fucking with these niggas no more. And I ain't fucking with these bitches no more. Now it's time to get it right. Yeah, make something not enough, and all these girls they wanna spend the night. But I'm giving all my love to the game.
Okay, let me get this out of the way. I can see why Nines is popular. He's not too threatening, but he definitely still sounds like a street rapper. His voice is pretty monotone and he doesn't really switch up his flow or his mood at all. But either way, I'll take it over his singing voice. He explores his upper range along with a good dollop of auto-tune on Getting Money Now and Nervous. And like I said, it doesn't sound good. And honestly, with all the guests on this album, there were only 3 who really impressed me at all. The first one was Burner, who drops a really good verse on these keys. He's honestly the most charismatic performer on this entire album. The second one was Shemzy, who provides a really nice hook on outro. And finally, while I didn't really like the auto-tune on his voice, I did like Hudson East's contributions to Love to the Game. Otherwise, well, I guess the uncredited vocalists on Trap Music and Make It Last were okay, even though they were an absolutely blatant Drake knockoff. But the rest, well, while I do have problems with the writing on the song, which I'll get to in a moment, I did like J Midge's chorus on Trapper of the Year. But like I said, Tiggs the Author is cartoonishly ridiculous on the hook of Hose, and J Hus is just another blatant Future knockoff. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't like the original Future much anyway. And then you have the most predictable issue, the lyrics.
Hopped in the tinted wagon, what's the worst that can happen? That hasn't already happened. I've been outdoors for days, getting paid in different ways. You wouldn't know money if it slapped you in your face. I'm the high roller, bipolar in the fly motor. I'm the high roller, bipolar in the fly motor.
Okay, let me be clear. When I say this is a transitional album, it's pretty clear that Nines knows this too. Because a lot of these songs seem to be focusing on the fact that he used to live a certain way, but now he's heading for success. Heck, on these keys, even he admits, next album I'll probably rap about yachts and planes. So basically, this album should be really interesting, focus on his internal struggle with his identity. And, well, we get some of that. Love to the Game has him saying that he can't devote himself to any woman because his heart belongs to the game. And I'm assuming by that he doesn't mean the rapper. Although if he does, more power to him. These keys is actually pretty fascinating, as he's struggling with the fact that he's going to have to hand in his name as a famed drug dealer in exchange for his fame as a rapper, as part of him still misses that life. But most of these songs are about getting money, doing drugs, having sex, or alternatively, marveling at how he got to where he is today. Which is all well and good, but it gets old really fast. And then I came across another problem that I didn't expect and one that you may have missed. Because while Nines is a pretty decent rapper with a pretty decent flow, have you noticed how obsessed he is with similes? I mean, the similes make sense, but my god does he overuse them. It's practically every 3 lines. And then of course you have my own personal nitpicks, like when he says that he's sold to the Trappers of the Year, which makes him the Trapper's Trapper of the Year. Except, if he means that he sells drugs to the most successful guys around, then that would make him the Trapper of the Year's Trapper. It's not as catchy, but it's still there. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this. I can see why this guy has a following, and if you like this, that's great. Good for you. But for me, it's a 5 out of 10, and I honestly can't see myself returning to this. Sorry if that's a disappointment, considering this is probably one of the few YouTube reviews this project will get. But hey, it's just my opinion, and as for you, Nines, I wish you the best of luck going forwards, and just keep on hustling. So, thank you guys for watching. If there are any other albums coming out in the next month or so, please post them in the comments or tweet them at me so I can listen to them and possibly review them. You'll find the link to my Twitter in the description. Feel free to follow me if you'd like. Please subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is the Social Tunes signing off.